Hello, this is Joseph Zoll. How do millionaires see their legacy, see their wealth differently from the rest of us? Living as well as we can, still putting money away for emergencies and retirement, is how most of us live. What we leave behind is our estate, which goes to our heirs. This we can call our legacy, and it's quite different for the wealthy versus the rest of us. So we have to first turn to the question of taxes, and then we can discuss the mindset of the wealthy. Regarding profits from selling stock, capital gains. It's important for people saving for retirement and for those who are retired drawing out from their retirement funds. But when you invest in a traditional IRA or 401k, capital gains aren't taxed along the way, but when you draw it out, it is taxed as ordinary income, as if it was wages. So there's no tax benefit for those saving for retirement or already retired using these kinds of retirement accounts. If you have a Roth, then your gains aren't taxed along the way and are never taxed when you withdraw the funds later. So there's no benefit there whatsoever from tax cuts on capital gains. A Roth may not be right for everyone, but I recommend everyone look into them as a possibility. Dividends, the same. So who benefits from tax cuts on capital gains and dividends? Those who have investments outside of tax protected retirement accounts. They get tax cuts, while those in IRAs and 401ks do not. In 2017, there was debate over the exemption from federal estate taxes, arguing that the middle class and poor were losing their homes to estate taxes, that they weren't being passed along to the next generation because of high taxes. But at that time, the exemption was $5 million. So anyone leaving an estate of $5 million or less owed no federal estate taxes, and typically state estate taxes except the federal exemption. The debate was, should it be left as is or increased to $10 million to help the middle class and the poor? I challenged the advocates to introduce me to someone who is leaving behind between $5 and $10 million and prove to me that that person is middle class or poor. The $10 million exemption was adopted and became law and was indexed for inflation. As of 2024, the federal estate tax exemption is $13.61 million per individual. For married couples, they each have the same exemption. If they die at the same time, the exemption for the couple is $27.22 million, including all wealthy, all middle class, and all poor who have that large an estate. For estates that exceed the exemption amount, the federal estate tax is 40% on the portion above the exemption threshold. So if you die with less than $13.61 million of assets, or $27.22 million as a married couple, you owe zero estate tax. You should still consider having a will to determine what will be done with your assets. This will include who gets custody of your children, who gets grandma's jewelry, and so on. So for most of us, we may leave behind a house, a car, bank accounts, whatever remains in our retirement fund, and grandma's jewelry, but not enough to go above the exemption. Suppose someone inherits $40 million. If they can get a 5% return on that investment, they can live on $2 million a year. It can be tough, but it's manageable. Imagine how much better it would be if there were no taxes on dividends, no taxes on capital gains. Then all $2 million is spendable income. What will they leave for their heirs? If they don't increase the $40 million, then inflation will tend to eat away at it over the years. So here we have to consider the rule of 72. If you divide an inflation rate into 72, it will give you the approximate number of years for the cost of living to double, hence the buying power to be chopped in half. There is also a way that it works for compound interest rates, that you may be receiving as interest or you may be paying out as interest. But that's another subject. Too low an inflation rate is an economy that isn't growing enough. Too high, and we have an overheated economy. Somewhere around 3% is considered normal for a growing economy. The following math is shown in the description. 3% inflation divided to 72 is 24. So 24 years. The time frame is 48 years. So inflation should double twice over the next 48 years if our guess is correct on inflation. Suppose we have one heir, a son or a daughter, to whom we will leave everything. For the moment, we'll set aside the house, the cars, the wine cellar, the vacation home, and so on, and just consider the money. In order for our son or daughter to be able to live the lifestyle that we have and the lifestyle they grew up in and which they're accustomed to, we have to double the estate twice. Now, here we're talking just about the cash, the investments. $80 million is doubling once, $160 million is doubling twice. So if our heir gets the money in 48 years and continues to get a 5% return, that is $8 million per year to equal the buying power of $2 million per year today. If we factor in the current exemption and the 40% tax on what is above exemption, we need to leave behind approximately $205 million, so that they will end up with $160 million when all is said and done. Each of our figures is a lot of money. To go from $20 million to $160 million in 48 years is possible. But wouldn't it be easier if there were no taxes on dividends or capital gains? Even better if there was no estate tax? Then we need only to end up with $160 million, not $205 million. There is a move to abolish the estate tax, still with the message that is to help the middle class and the poor. But suppose we have two children who split the money. On the current exemption and tax rate, we would need to turn our cash and investments into $410 million, twice $205 million, and starting with $40 million. Now, this is tougher. And consider the house, the cars, and the rest. Supposing we leave all that to one child. If we want to treat the children equally, then we would want to leave still more money to the child who didn't get those property assets in order to buy a mansion and the rest, and still have the $205 million left over and be able to maintain the lifestyle we want them to. And if we have more than two heirs, then the numbers increase still more. So the wealthy who live on the returns from investments can live on $2 million a year, and we can adjust that for them as the years go by. But they have a real challenge in making sure that the next generation receives a legacy whereby they too can continue to live on the return from the investments. So no matter how smart or how lucky they are with the investments, the real hurdle is that there are taxes. So it is to the wealthy's advantage that taxes on capital gains, dividends, and estates be cut as much as possible, even to zero. For most of us, it matters little if at all. For the rest of us, we try to give our children the best start in life that we can so they can earn a good living. And the legacy in the estate, since they pay no estate taxes, they get whatever is in the estate. In the meantime, with multiple major tax cuts helping only the wealthy over many years, the national debt has skyrocketed. Many people complaining about the national debt are considering only one half the story, spending. People sometimes say the problem is that the government spends too much. The other half of the story in any debt or surplus or budget discussion is income. Too little coming in. You have debt. A balanced budget exactly to the penny is very difficult, but if you have a surplus, then you can begin paying down debt. We have a video on the national debt coming up. Be sure to like and subscribe. Click the notifications bell so you hear about that video and all our videos when they're published. All that helps our channel. Thank you for joining me today.